beautiful people. Welcome to the Dr. Joy Show, your prescription for total wellness. And I'm your host, Dr. Joy. We're going to have an interesting conversation on elder care strategies. That's right, elder care strategies. No. Don't change the channel. Just because you might not be in that position right now, somebody in your family is. That's why the information is very good. So stay tuned. And you know what we do on the Dr. Joy Show before we get started, right? We take 3 deep breaths. Are you ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale, exhale. How do you feel? I know I feel great. I want to introduce my guest, James DeMartino. Thank you for being a guest on the Dr. Joy Show.
Dr. Joy, thank you for asking me here.
And why are you here? Because you are an attorney focused on elder care strategies. That's what we're here to talk about. But tell me a little bit about you, your background. I know you from before, but I don't want to give it away to my viewers. So tell me a little bit about you.
Sure, Dr. Joy. I was a high school teacher and football coach at Hillsborough, Hunterdon Central, and Immaculata High School. And I went to law school at night. I got my law degree at night while I was teaching by day.
Okay, so you see my face, right? Okay, so you averaged about 4 hours of sleep. Okay, all right, I won't interrupt anymore. Go ahead.
Sure. When there was a possibility that the governor was going to cut back state aid to one of the schools I was working at, I decided I better have another iron in the fire just in case my job was eliminated. So I did go to law school at night, and I got my law degree from Seton Hall.
Oh, great. And how we know each other is from eons ago. No, I'm not going to tell you the year. But Jim, you were the attorney that closed on our first house.
That's correct.
And, Chiji and I, and we so appreciate that. And then we had another encounter years later to talk about wills, estates, and estate planning. And so I've known Jim for a long, long time. But now I have the question. You've gone from real estate to elder care law. What gave you the impetus to do that, to make that switch?
Well, Dr. Joy, real estate closings in New Jersey, particularly Central and North Jersey, are very contentious. I felt as if I were a referee in a National Hockey League game.
Oh.
Where elder law is more of a pastoral field of law. I feel as if I could be a teacher again and actually do some good.
See, because now I'll pay you later, because one of my questions was, how did you being a teacher and a football coach at those 3 institutions while you were going to law school help you in your current capacity? And you just said that. So you want to teach people about elder law strategies. So my question to you is, I'm confused. Medicare, Medicaid. Colossal confusion with myself, and I know colossal confusion with a lot of my viewers. Let's discuss that. What are the major differences?
Sure. That's a common point of confusion, I might add. Medicare and Medicaid came to us during the Kennedy-Johnson era.
Okay.
Medicare, a rule of thumb, is for people who are 65 and older.
Okay.
And it's similar to a national health insurance program. Although we don't have a bona fide national health insurance program, as do other countries, this is as close as we'll get for people who are 65 and older. It pays for hospital bills, doctor's bills,
okay,
prescription drugs,
okay,
and a limited amount of stay in a rehab facility, whereas Medicaid is something different. Medicaid originally was established to help indigent people pay for their doctor bills and hospital bills. That's how it started in the mid-60s. But something happened that Congress did not foresee at that time, and society didn't either.
And what was that?
A huge amount of the population was going to have their bodies outlive their minds. So Medicaid became transformed from just a program to help indigent people pay their doctor, hospital, and medical bills to a program that also subsidizes long-term care facilities.
Okay, so the life expectancy back then when Medicare, Medicaid came into existence, say, might have been in the 60s, but now people are planning till they're 95, till they're almost a centenarian.
That's correct.
Okay, so are there any specific conditions that are not covered under Medicaid or Medicare?
Well, Medicare, if you have Medicare Part A,
Oh, Lord.
Part B, the prescription drug plan, and Medigap for people who are 65 and older, it pretty much will cover all doctor bills, all hospital bills, all diagnostic tests, all prescription drugs, and it'll pick up any copays or deductibles that are not usually paid for by the traditional programs.
Okay, so Medicare, the bottom line is that you have to be 65 to get it.
That's pretty much it. Now,
I'm
there
trying
are
to
exceptions to that,
Oh,
but
no.
that pretty much is the rule of thumb.
Okay, that's the rule of thumb. So person that's 65 automatically gets Medicare. Okay.
That's correct.
So now does that vary from state to state, say North Carolina versus New Jersey?
No, it does not. Medicare is a national program, and it's the same in every state.
Okay. All right. So now you said Part A, Part B, and some other gap thing that you said. So when a person turns 65, because I'm trying to break this down, you're a football coach, so you're going to work with me to try to break this down.
Yes, Dr. Joy.
So Part A, Part B, and the prescription plan and some other gap, there were 4 pieces. Once you're 65, you get all 4 of those, or do you pick and choose those pieces?
Okay, that's a good question. When one is 65, they can automatically get Medicare Part A, which is the hospital stay.
That's good.
You can then elect to get Part B, which covers the doctor bills and certain diagnostic procedures.
Okay.
But you have to elect to pick that up. You also have to elect to pick up Medicare Part D, which is the drug prescription program. And these are all additional charges.
I was going to ask that question.
Absolutely.
Is it going to cost the person that's actually doing the election? Is any part of it gratis? Is any part of it free?
Only Medicare Part A.
The hospital.
That's correct.
Okay. So if they check the box for prescription, it's an added fee.
That's
if
correct.
they check the box for, what was B again?
There's Medigap and there's B, which is the doctor bills, diagnostic tests.
Okay. So there's an extra charge. How are those charges defined or determined for that 65-year-old person?
Okay, Medicare Part B has certain guidelines that change every so often, and it is income-based. So a
Okay.
person who has a lot of income may pay a higher premium for Part B. The prescription drug plan, there are a number of plans on the market that one can elect to choose, and it varies in cost. And also what we call the Medigap or Medicare supplement plan. There are a number of plans out there, and a person picks and chooses what type of coverage they want, and the coverage is more expensive for a comprehensive plan as opposed to a bare bones plan. So it all depends, but it's all laid out. It's all laid out very well.
It's all laid out very well for you, you know, but the average person might not know, and that's where your service comes in, correct?
That's right, Dr. Joy.
Now, you mentioned income. At 65, most people, a lot of people may be still working, but they're not making as much money as they say were in their 40s or early 50s. So how far back of their income is attached to this calculation?
Medicare looks at the current income, and roughly Medicare Part B will cost someone $105 a month, but it's subtracted from your Social Security check.
Okay, so you don't even see it.
No, you don't really see that.
You don't see it. So you're not going to give me a Social Security check and then you're going to ask me to write you a check for $105.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So that's okay. So now what happens if there are a lot of assets involved? How does one protect their assets so that they could still get the Medicare portion, but not not have to pay so high? Are assets included in the income, or is it just, okay, well, I made $150,000 this year. It's just going to be based on that, not my home and everything else?
That's correct, Dr. Joy. The premium that one pays for Medicare Part B is just based on the income level.
Okay. Okay, so now what if you can't afford Medicare?
If one can't afford Medicare, there are programs through the state, the various states, that will help supplement the premiums.
So do they go automatically to Medicaid then? Is that the other option?
Well, initially, if they need assistance paying their Medicare Part B bills, they contact the state of New Jersey, and the state of New Jersey, actually through the Social Security office, I should say the Social Security office, it'll guide them to the right direction as to how to get a subsidy to pay those Medicare premiums that they might not be able to afford.
I'm glad you clarified and said Social Security office instead of just state of New Jersey, because I have viewers all over, and Social Security office will exist in every state.
That's correct.
Okay, so home care, nursing home care, and or home care, regular home care, like someone can care for you in your own home. How is that covered?
Okay, under the Medicare program, as opposed to Medicaid, it has to be skilled care that's needed.
Okay.
Something where one needs a medical skill or a background and training to administer the type of care that that individual is getting.
Okay.
So consequently, a mere caregiver that babysits and supervises doesn't qualify. Physical therapy would, speech therapy would,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay. And what if the person had a stroke and they were incapacitated and they needed assistance from the bed? They needed assistance 24/7, Jim. Like, they can't do anything for themselves. They cannot communicate. And if they didn't have Medicare, would they automatically get Medicaid?
Medicaid would pick up
Part B, you
where
said that.
actually Medicaid picks up where Medicare leaves off.
Oh, okay.
Now, for at-home care
Right.
and care in a skilled facility, that's more or less covered under the jurisdiction of Medicaid, because Medicare does not pay much for care in a skilled nursing facility or even at-home care. The period is limited. For example, if someone is in a hospital being treated for some illness or condition for at least 3 nights,
Okay.
if they need rehab in a skilled facility afterwards, the first 20 days are covered 100% by the Medicare program, provided they need the 20 days. If, however, at day 15, they're deemed healed, then it stops. Now, after 20 days, Dr. Joy,
Yeah, what
if they
happens?
still need rehab from day
Yeah.
21 to 100, there's a copay. It's approximately $160 a day for the patient, and the other $160 comes in from Medicare. That's if they need rehab, still need rehab from days 21 to 100. However, if after day 50 they're deemed healed as best as they're going to get, it
Right.
stops. After 100 days, it's all private pay at that point.
Ooh, private pay, 100 days. That's 3 months. 3 months plus 10 days. I'm doing the calculation, 90 plus 10. So there's some coverage there for the first 100 days. But now tell me what happens on day 101.
Well, first of all, during that 100-day period, if someone takes a Medicare supplement plan, what we also call Medigap,
Right.
that $160 copay is covered. Now, after 100 days, it's totally private pay.
Okay.
And what are the private pay rates? Well, it depends on if someone is in an assisted living as opposed to a nursing home.
Right.
Nursing homes in New Jersey can run as high as $12,000, $13,000 in the central and northern part of the state. Assisted livings with the very basic level 1 care in the neighborhood of $5,000 a month. But that becomes all private after day 100.
So $5,000 a month. Now I want to do 100 days plus now. $5,000 a month on the low
For assisted living.
for assisted living, up to $13,000 a month.
That's correct.
Where are these people getting this money? Where does the money come from? If you don't, Jim, help me.
Sure.
Help me with this, because if a person has a house, now let's talk about the assets. They're there 100 at the 101st day, 101. Now they got to pay this $5,000 a month. Where does it come from?
That is the dilemma that society is facing. Now, an option is long-term care insurance if one qualifies for it.
Okay.
But long-term care insurance premiums can be rather expensive.
Okay, and when do you start to pay for those? Like to plan?
Well, the younger a person is when they sign up for long-term care insurance, the lesser the premium.
Okay, that's true.
However, in a lot of policies, the premiums will increase with inflation, and it gets to the point where certain people will say, Jim, I can't afford this anymore.
Right.
I can't afford this premium. And at that point, we suggest maybe their children can contribute.
Right.
And if their children can't, then they have to drop the policy and then pay from their private assets.
Okay, let's talk about private assets. How does one pay from their private assets?
Okay. A lot depends on if a person is married with an at-home healthy spouse.
Okay.
Or if a person is single. Now, a married couple, the house can be conveyed to the healthy spouse. In fact, all assets can be conveyed to the healthy spouse. However, the healthy spouse is only allowed to keep half the value of the liquid assets, not to exceed approximately $120,000.
Are you kidding me?
No, doctor. Anything over and above that has to be spent down on the loved one's care before they're eligible for Medicaid for a skilled facility.
Come on, Jim. There's gotta be a trick or something. Like this whole spend down thing, because I know some elderly people, 70s, 80s, 90s. And they say, oh no, I have to buy this. I have to spend my money. When should people start spending down? Like to avoid, so they can get the help that they need that the government can give them, right? Without somebody saying, ooh, we're gonna take your house now. Like
Okay.
it's scary for a lot of people.
Yes, it
like
is.
What's counted? What's a countable asset? Is it like, tell me what a countable asset is?
Well, first of all, when a person does spend down, remember the healthy spouse is allowed to keep half the value of the liquid assets, not to exceed $120,000. I'm rounding that figure off.
Okay.
And now the not so healthy spouse spends down. At that point, Medicaid picks up their bill for the skilled nursing facility or for the assisted living.
Okay. Now, see, the average person, I don't think knows that. That's where
That's
you would
correct.
that's where you would come in. All right. So, how do you deem an asset? How do you what's deemed, not you, but what is deemed as an asset by the government that they can come after?
We call those available assets. A marital home that's conveyed to a healthy spouse, at-home spouse, is an exempt asset. Half the value of the liquid assets, not to exceed $120,000, is also deemed protected.
So that's everything inside the house, a car,
Well, the
cash.
car is allowed, jewelry is allowed, a wedding ring, an engagement ring. New Jersey really doesn't harass people on furniture
Okay.
inside. There used to be some concerns about the amount of furniture and personal property you can have. New Jersey really doesn't look into that. Investment property is deemed protected to a point.
Okay.
Now, in other states, Dr. Joy, a person's retirement plan, 401k or IRA, is protected even if it propels them above that $120,000 figure.
Okay.
New Jersey is not one of those states.
So that means get the hell out of New Jersey. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there are definitely friendlier states than New Jersey for Medicaid. In fact, Dr. Joy, New Jersey is referred to by other elder law attorneys as North Korea. Rogue state.
Ooh.
Doesn't play by the rules.
Oh, really?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me what would happen to a person that has a 401k, sizable amount, 1.5 million, okay, because they've been saving since they were 25, all right, and they never touched it. And now all of a sudden they're 65, 70, and they're in this state where their health is declining and they're going to need some assistance. What happens?
Well, the healthy spouse, Dr. Joy, if they have a hefty annuity, 401k, or retirement plan, they're limited in the amount they could keep. Anything over and above the $120,000 is going to have to be spent down on the ill spouse's care. But in states like Pennsylvania, for example, that doesn't happen.
Cross the bridge then.
Just cross the bridge.
In other words, sell your house, get out of the state of New Jersey or those unfriendly states, because I'm sure there's other unfriendly states, right? Get out of those and move. But do you know how hard it is for someone that's, at that point in their life to just uproot and move to another state?
Oh, absolutely.
So what's the answer?
This is going to be a problem that's going to become more pronounced in the future as the baby boomers age. See, there was a boom in population after World War II during the Korean War years. And the baby boomers, of which I'm one, are just now starting to reach the age where they may be entering skilled nursing facilities. And quite frankly, our system is not set up for that. The baby boomers will take this system down unless some drastic revisions are made. And quite frankly, none of the presidential candidates are even talking about that.
Okay.
You don't hear that mentioned.
No, we don't. On either side.
No,
on
that's correct.
Either side.
It's going to be a huge crisis.
So how does one protect themselves? Is that where elder care planning comes in?
Well, what we advise people to do is to, number one, get in the ready mode, which means have all the proper estate planning documents in place that gives somebody the power in your family, usually the healthy spouse, and for single people, a reliable child or sibling, that allows that person to press the buttons that are known as the exceptions to the Medicaid 5-year look-back rule.
Okay.
So what happens is assets are transferred, which are exceptions to the Medicaid 5-year look-back rule. And once the person becomes eligible for Medicaid, if that program is not enough to meet that person's emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental needs, the assets that were conveyed to the children or to somebody else can be used to enhance that level of care.
Okay. So you have a protection of assets issue. You have the $120,000 that the healthy spouse can keep, right? And then what about everything else? What are those documents that you mentioned?
Sure. We advise people to consider what's called a comprehensive estate plan. When I was a football coach, we had a game plan.
That's right.
And the game plan was varied because we never knew what the opposing team was going to throw at us.
Right.
Or how they were going to defend us. So we had a variety of plays. And in long-term care planning, there's a variety of instruments. There's not one legal document that's the magic bullet. A will or living trust, because nobody gets out of this world alive, Dr. Joy.
That's
imperative.
Right.
And a will or living trust should have estate tax planning provisions for states like New Jersey that have a death tax. There should also be a power of attorney. Now, not your conventional power of attorney that you might use for a real estate closing or you might use for, you might download from the internet, but one that specifically details every single solitary power one could have.
Right.
Because of all the documents we prepare in our office, Dr. Joy, the power of attorney is the one we're on the phone with at least twice a month with banks and financial institutions that are afraid of these powers of attorney. They're afraid that the agent is going to rob from the loved one, or they're afraid that the agent is going to take the asset out of their bank and put it into a competitor across the street.
Right.
And Medicaid will argue that your agent never had the authority to press the buttons for the 5-year look-back rule. Our power of attorney is 30 pages long because it addresses every conceivable thing that could possibly be thrown at our clients. So a power of attorney is very, very crucial in this field.
It's not a one-page thing.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The other document we feel is crucial is a living will, but separate from a healthcare power of attorney.
Okay.
See, our living will, and every lawyer does it differently, our living will has a 48-item checklist. We give people 4 medical situations, A, B, C, and D. Each medical situation is a little different, but we ask the same 12 questions under each.
Okay.
Why are we so detailed? Is that required by law?
Right.
No. Number one, it sets the record straight so the family knows what the loved one wants and doesn't want.
That's good.
Number two, if the hospital is trying to push a procedure on the person, that that individual told his family, never let them do this to me,
Right. DNR.
then, right, the agent could say, I'm fighting you.
Right.
My loved one does not want that procedure.
Right.
And if they report that individual to Adult Protective Services,
Uh-oh.
then the person could say to Adult Protective Services, please don't yell at me. I'm just my husband's messenger.
Right.
This is his 48-item checklist. Go wake him up out of his coma and yell at him. I'm just a messenger.
Oh.
You can't shoot the messenger. Also, if insurance or Medicare doesn't want to cover a procedure based on a person's age or advanced condition on the grounds that that individual would have never wanted that, the healthy spouse or the agent for the family can say, oh, yes, they did. Oh, no, they didn't. You don't have your parent or husband's best interests.
Right.
Yes, I do. Here's their 48-item checklist. Wake them up out of their coma and yell at them.
Right.
Now, that is separate, Dr. Joy, from what's called a healthcare power of attorney.
Okay.
A healthcare power of attorney gives somebody the power to bring that checklist forward at the appropriate time, plus make other decisions. Should it be Robert Wood in New Brunswick, Robert
Right.
Wood in Hamilton?
Or they got to fly him to another
Right.
state.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other thing is, we advise when someone is admitting themselves to the hospital
Right.
and they ask for a living will, we prefer that they not show the living will and 48-item checklist
Yeah.
because it throws a person's cards out on the table.
Yes.
Example, if they've checked off no in a lot of areas,
Right.
they're going to say to the nurses on that patient's floor, hey,
Yeah,
when this guy presses the call button, take your time.
Take your time or ignore him.
Right.
Keep going.
Keep going.
So now this living will, and I got to interject and then we got to get to the top 3 tips. The living will, there's numbers around that whole living will thing. Because I know for us, we came into your office, Gigi and I, we came in and we said, okay, Jim, we want to do a living will. And you put a number on the board and you gave us some instructions and we didn't qualify for that. So the number is...
Well, you're talking about a living trust.
The trust, right?
Or a will with tax planning provisions in there. The
Right.
number in New Jersey is $675,000.
If you have assets, right.
If someone exceeds $675,000, in our opinion, you need more than just a simple will.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about the death tax.
Right, right. Okay, so that's good. Now, quickly share your top three planning tips. Top 3, only 3, Jim. And then I want to wrap it up and you tell everybody where people can find you because this is great information.
Thank you, Dr. Joy. Top 3 tips. Number 1, preparation. Get your estate plan in the ready mode. Number 2, anticipation. Know when it's time to address a long-term care issue that is surfacing in the family and it has not been necessarily diagnosed by the medical profession. And number 3, execution. Pressing the right buttons to implement all the government allows us to do for the exceptions to the Medicaid 5-year look-back rule.
I want to thank you for being a guest on the Dr. Joy Show and helping myself and my viewers weave through the colossal confusion between Medicaid, Medicare, your assets, what to do with them, etc., etc. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Joy. It's a great pleasure.
Until next time, you better start planning because we're all getting older, right? Until next time, be blessed, stay healthy. See ya!